In this video, we are going to look at the SQL programming language. We're just going to look at what you need for GCSE, which is kind of scraping the surface of it. There's so much more. At A level, we get into quite a bit more, and then there's even more in the real world. So just a quick introduction to databases. This is no longer in the GCSE spec, but it used to be. But it's just going to help you understand how the SQL works. So a database is made up of tables. So this is just one table in what's probably many tables in our database. So we've got this table of students probably. We know their student ID, surname, first name, their tutor group, and how old they are. So then the fields, we'll call them fields. Those are the columns in our tables. So ID, surname, first name, tutor, age. Those are our fields. And then the records are the rows in our table. So each of those records is one row. You can't be examined over this in OCR. But it just helps to understand how the SQL works. So SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and it is just another programming language. So it's not Python, it's a new language, and it's used to query or get out information from databases. Okay. Now you might have learned about high and low level languages already. SQL is often used as the example of a fourth generation, that high level language in that section. So we're just going to look at a bunch of examples of how this works. And again, this is just GCSE level. At A level and in the real world, it does get a lot more complicated. So the format will be, it's always select from where. And you'll get used to this. It's just that pattern, select from where. So select, that's going to tell us which fields, so which columns we want to return. The from tells us which table we're going to get them from. And then the where will help us to meet some kind of condition on those fields. The where clause is optional. You have to have selecting from. The where is optional, but you'll find that it's almost always used. If you didn't have it, it would just return the entire table. So let's look at some examples. So this is our table. The star just means the student ID is unique for every person. And we're just going to work from this very basic example here. So we want to select student ID. So we're looking at this column, student ID, from students. So our table is called students, where first name is equal to Jack. So what the program does is it comes down, it looks for every place that we've got Jack as the first name, and it's going to return that student ID. In this case, that'll be 1 and 2, because those are the two student IDs with first name Jack. Another example, so we're going to select surname and year of birth from students, where student ID is equal to 1. Now notice when we're selecting multiple things, we're just going to separate them with a comma. You'll learn and later on, but for now it's always just a comma. From students where student ID is 1. So that is going to be Brown in 2000. And just notice here that the order matters. So if we put surname first, it's going to appear first in the results. Select first name from students where year of birth is greater than 1999. So again, it's going to go through our table looking at year of birth. 2000 is greater than 1999. That one's not, and that one is. So it will return the first name, which will be Jack and Mary. And there's our first names. And let's look at, we're getting a little bit more complicated here. So we've got select student ID and first name. So again, it's going to be in that order, student ID, first name, separated by a comma, from students, where first name is Jack. So first name is Jack here. And, all capitals, the year of birth is greater than or equal to 2000. So this and is the same as Boolean logic, same as what we learned in Python, where both of these conditions have to be true. So we need a Jack who's born in 2000 or later. That'll be that Jack Brown, and it's going to return student ID and first name, which will be 1 Jack. This one will give us the full name, so first name and surname, of all students born before 2000. Okay, so just another example here. Notice before 2000, you might have been able to say less than or equal to 1999, and just noticing again that first name and surname are separated by a comma. All right, and last one here. We want to find the student ID and the surname of all students whose first name is Imdad. Now, they do this to you all the time in the exam. Well, they'll give you part of a table, and what you're looking for is not necessarily in that table, but you still need to write the SQL to do it. So if we want to find the student ID and surname, it's just here. So it's select student ID, and surname with a comma from the table students, where first name is equal to Imdad. And I've highlighted these speech marks here just because it's a really common mistake to forget those. If it's a string, which Imdad is, you cannot forget those speech marks. So that was a lot of the basics, and we've actually seen that and already. There are a few other bits that you need to know. So the star, right now, when we're selecting something, we're saying which fields that we want. oftentimes we want to get all fields from the table, and that select star will just mean all fields. Percentage sign, this comes in our where statement, and it means any number of characters. That might seem a bit confusing. I'll show you some examples, and it'll make more sense in a minute. We've got like, which we use with this where. So this is going to be used for pattern matching, with the percentage sign. And or not, we've kind of seen. You only use those in the where. You never ever use them in the select statement. And they have the same meaning as they do in logic gates and in Python. So it'll be if two conditions are met, if one condition is met, or the reverse. And then finally we've got order by. This just it's not going to change what's returned, it just changes the order that it's returned in. So you can specify whether you want it to be ascending or descending, but that's our order by. So we'll see how all these work now. So we've got a slightly bigger table here where we've got max. So we want to select student ID from students where first name is like m percentage sign. So what this percentage sign means is any number of characters. So this means that it's got to start with the letter M, and then it can have any number of characters after that. So that's our pattern. When we're using the percentage sign, we have to use like, we don't use the equal sign. So this will return Jack does not start with M, neither does Jack, but Mary and Max both start with M. So it gets their student IDs, which is 3 and 4. Select student ID from students where first name like M percentage. So it starts with an M, and then it has any number of characters. Or surname, so different field, like S percentage sign. So the surname needs to start with an S. And notice this or means that either of these can be true. So Jack Brown doesn't start with M, and that doesn't start with S. Smith, though, starts with S. And then Mary and Max both start with M. So this is going to return student IDs 2, 3, and 4. Right here, looking at kind of going backwards a bit, thinking about what could have written this SQL. So notice we've got all the columns here. So it's probably going to be select star, and that will return all columns from our table students, and then where year of birth is 2000. So just like that, we've got select star from our table of students, and that star will just get every single column where year of birth is 2000. All right, select star from students where first name is like J percentage sign and year of birth is 2000. So first name starts with a J. We've got Jack and Jack. And year of birth is 2000. Well, Jack Smith does not have a year of birth of 2000, so it's just going to return this top row, this top record, sorry. And then we've got select star, so that's going to get all fields from that record. So it'll be 1 Jack Brown 2000. I know this is a lot of examples, but hopefully I'm just trying to show you all the different permutations of this. So we've got select star, so again we're getting every column from our table students where our first name is like, so here we've got any number of characters, and then a lowercase a, and then any number of characters. So basically our first name just has to have an A in it, but then we're going to order by surname in descending order. All of these have an A in them, so we are going to get every column for every record, but we're going to order by the surname descending. So it's all of our records, but notice Smith comes last, then Scott, then Jones, then Brown. So we've put them in reverse alphabetical order by surname. So hopefully that gives you a good introduction to SQL Basics. Again, there's a lot more out there, but this is just everything that you need to know for the GCSE, nothing more and nothing less.